This is the Natural Resource Committee meeting at 3:55, 3:56, Monday, April 5th. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And at this time, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone would please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, one nation, under God, indivisible. Okay. All right. Public notification of this meeting has been made and posted and distributed in compliance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. Has that been done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'd like a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it was a motion by Councilman Cunningham, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And seconded by Councilman Passament. Without exception, the agenda, are there any exceptions? The agenda has been approved. Okay. We have minutes from March 1st. I hope everyone's had time to review those. I hear a motion to approve those minutes from March 1st.
So moved.
All right, Councilman Passament. I have a second.
I'll second.
All right, Councilman Cunningham, thank you for that. We, on this agenda, we have moved citizens' comments up to the beginning of the agenda this afternoon. Do we have any citizens' comments? Did anyone, okay,
No, ma'am, there's no comments.
Okay, all right, thank you. And no one sent any electronically in either at this time?
No, ma'am, not for this meeting.
All right.
I had a comment to make. I'm sorry for interrupting. I must not have done this correctly. I didn't know what to do other than to sign in.
Okay, let me read you, Ms. Stagger, I know you know the rules, but let me read them out loud. Anyone who wishes to speak during the citizen comment portion of the meeting will limit their comments to no longer than 3 minutes and will address the council in a respectful manner appropriate to the decorum of the meeting, refraining from the use of profane, abusive, or obscene language. So if you'll state your name and do we need address too? Ms. Brenna Owens, do we need her address?
Yes.
Yes, we do. Joe said we do. All right. If you'll do that, and we'll give you your time to speak up.
I'm Jocelyn Steiger. The address is 32 Office Park Road, Suite 124. Chairwoman Howard, Natural Resources Committee members, and other members of council, as well as staff, I'm here today on behalf of the Beaufort Jasper County Realtors Association and the Hilton Head Area Realtors Association. We want to thank you for not having the proposed Coastal Resilience Overlay Zone Ordinance and Fill Ordinance discussion on today's meeting agenda. We appreciate the time you have afforded us to submit our questions and concerns. We look forward to receiving answers and working together to prevent unintended consequences to property owners throughout Beaufort County. Thank you again so much for your consideration.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. Okay, we'll go on with the agenda. Number 7 is attainable housing update. Is Mr. Greenway going to give us that update?
I am, yes. As you are aware, many of you know that a couple of months ago, we engaged a firm called Azecure Robinson to begin the study of a regional housing trust fund. They have done that meeting. I think they have started that process. I think we have conducted about 3 meetings currently with the steering committee. and they are continuing to meet more regularly with what we call the data committee, which is basically made up of staff members from various jurisdictions throughout the county. That work is still on track to be completed in June, for them to come back to the council, to the Beaufort County Council, and then we'll have to go to all the other municipal councils on their recommendations for a framework to set up and begin the operation of Regional Housing Trust Fund in this area to deal with the attainable, affordable housing issue here in Beaufort County. So if you all recall, there's 8 jurisdictions that joined that effort. All the jurisdictions in the county, including Hardeeville and also Jasper County, joined with us to participate in setting up that Regional Housing Trust Fund through the SoLoCo board, which is the Southern Lowcountry board that generally works for things on south of the Broad, works on issues there in regional planning effort, but has more recently expanded, which is a good thing, to include almost all the jurisdictions that want to participate in Beaufort County. So that's all I have, unless you have any additional questions for me.
Anyone have any questions, Mr. Greenway? I don't see any hands raised. Oh, I do. Stu has a question. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you gave me part of the answer before, but I'm going to repeat a question. It struck me that 2 or 3 years ago, we had kind of concluded that one of the best ways, maybe the best way that we could help, was to actually pay the impact fees. And as I understand it, the county can't waive the impact fees unless they reimburse the funds for those particular impact fees. And I know we did $200,000 into that fund, and it might be useful just to understand where we are and if we need to replenish that.
Yes, you are correct. You dedicated $100,000 that was one-time funding of that fund to fund impact fee waivers initially. You have substantially impacted that fund to the tune of probably about $69,000, $70,000. I don't have those figures out of the top of my head, but that seems to be about right. For 2 projects where you all waived the impact fees for affordable housing projects in the county. And we will be bringing up, as a part of the budget recommendation to you all, we will be bringing replenishing that fund and funding options for you all to consider as a part of the budget process during this year's budget.
Thank you, Eric. Did that mechanism seem to work with those 2 developments?
It worked well. It worked very well. We get a lot of interest. We get a lot of questions about it from the municipalities about the process, about how they can go through the process, and about whether or not additional funding by the council will be forthcoming to replenish that fund. So it's a very popular initiative. It's a very good initiative. It's one of the initiatives that we've asked Azure Robinson to evaluate for a recommendation on how to make projects more affordable moving forward. They're considering impact fee waivers, gap financing, property purchase and banking, all sorts of things for public-private partnerships between the jurisdictions and the county. The great thing about the Housing Trust Fund, having a funding source to do that, is, again, if you recall, the Regional Housing Trust Fund, if we set it up the right way, then not only is there government contributions that can go to that account, also private and corporate donations can be made to the Regional Housing Trust Fund as well. So if we can fund impact fee waivers through that program, then that will allow us to provide more funding, in my mind, without having a significant impact on the county tax base and budget.
Yeah, if memory serves me correctly, on the trust fund, I think Greenville or some of the other counties, we're leveraging the amount of money that government put in and getting 4, 5, 6 times additional money through the grant process. So a lot of good things going on. Thank you for the update, sir.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? So speak up, has some questions about it?
Ms. Howard,
Yes.
let me ask Mr. Greenway, when you talk about expanding the opportunities, can you elaborate a little bit more on your concept right now, your ideas of expansion for inclusion of other areas or other individuals?
Well, yeah, and I think that's one of the key things, and what we're asking, what the consultants are working on is right now, affordable housing for us is everything that's 80% of AMI. We are going to be evaluating the formula that we currently use as to what constitutes affordable housing, because even at that range, that gives you a rent or a mortgage payment for a family of four of around $1,200–1,300 a month. And that's still unaffordable for a large percentage of our population. And that's because we have the highest AMI in the state. So we may need to come to you all and recommend that you all redefine the local definition to be classifying those projects as 60% to get that rent and mortgage rate down in order for it to be affordable. In addition to that, they're considering things about how to rehab projects, water and sewer impact fee waivers as well, maybe paying the water and sewer impact fee for some of these affordable housing projects, in addition to the other impact fees that had to be paid with them. So there's a whole multitude of things that they're looking to do, and you will receive a full recommendation and a full presentation on that sometime during the June, July timeframe.
Thank you.
I'd like to remind the committee too that there's 2 representatives from every local government on that committee, plus some other special interest groups such as Beaufort Memorial Hospital and others. So I think we have a good cross section of representation on that committee, that group that's working with the contractor. Next on the agenda, if we're going to go forward, is a resolution to authorize the interim county administrator to execute a lease agreement between Beaufort County, the town of Hilton Head, and historic Mitchellville Freedom Park for the property known as the Beach City Road parcels. And I think Stephanie Naggett's going to brief this. Is that correct, Mr. Greenway?
It is. Go ahead, Stephanie. This is your project, so go ahead.
Thank you. Hello, nice to see everybody. As you read, this is a resolution to enter into a lease agreement with the historic Mitchellville Freedom Park. And because the property that they would like to utilize is co-owned between the town and the county, it actually involves all 3 entities. As you may be aware, in 2012-2013, Beaufort County and the town of Hilton Head jointly purchased these 5 parcels along Beach City Road, which are immediately adjacent to the existing historic Mitchellville Freedom Park. In February of 2018, $250,000 was approved by County Council for the completion of the Freedom Park Master Plan. In March of that year, there was also a resolution to approve up to $575,000 for phase 1 implementation of that master plan. In February 2020, County Council was provided and approved the actual master plan. It was completed by the vendor. And in August, the Finance Committee did recommend approval of that $575,000 from HTAX funds to be used towards this phase 1 implementation, which I believe is still working its way through the final approval process through County Council as an ordinance. So this lease agreement was requested by Mr. Ward, who is the executive CEO of the historic Mitchellville Freedom Park, executive director, excuse me. And given that the County Council approved the master plan, which indicated that some portions of these 5 parcels were going to be used for those phase 1 implementations, which does include some parking area, some educational structures, some maintenance structures, and the entrance and the entrance gate. Staff felt that this was a good lease to enter into, and recommends that the Natural Resource Committee recommend approval to move forward to County Council next week for final approval. And I can take any questions if you have them.
Howard, you're on mute.
I apologize. Any questions from the group? Please speak up.
Ms. Howard, just one quick question, not to deal with what's being presented at this time. For Stephanie, are there any other access, entrance, egress into this, to Mitchellville that might be under consideration or could be under consideration? Are you aware of any?
No, the current access location is the only place that you can access the Freedom Park. The other any other potential access would still have to cross our property. So the existing road is actually owned, like the driveway off of Beach City Road into historic Mitchellville Freedom Park is actually part of that parcel as their primary access. And then our co-owned parcels are all in between that property and the road. So the current access as it's shown in the plan in the backup is the least impactful to our properties.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? And I during our meeting that we had on agenda review, it was explained to me that they would comply with all the Department of Natural Resource and archaeological requirements before anything was actually constructed, such as a gravel parking lot or whatever happens. So I appreciate that information too. We'll be in full compliance. Is there anything else?
Yeah, just if I could, Councilmember Howard, I just want council to be aware that these are 2 parcels to the right of the entrance road as you're going in that we would not have any plans to do anything else with. They want to use this for bus parking and for information center, I do believe, a parking area and all. So I don't think it's going to have any impact on what we may choose to do with the other parcels to the left of that entrance road. Am I correct about that, Stephanie?
You're correct.
Was that the history of it? It was purchased with rural and critical lands funds?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
And one of the things you should, sorry, Stephanie, you may have said this property is joined on with the town of Hilton Head Island. So we will, once you all approve it, then we will also have to have their approval as well before we can execute the final lease document. Okay.
And is Ms. Nagy going to do number 9 too, the resolution?
Yeah,
Yes.
this agenda pretty much belongs to Stephanie. So anyway.
Okay,
yes.
Go ahead. I'll read it out loud before you start. A resolution to authorize the interim county administrator to execute a joint ownership and operating agreement between Beaufort County and the town of Hilton Head Island for the property known as the Forge Shell Ring Preserve. Okay.
So just a quick question regarding the previous one. Are we going to take each of?
Well, this is really a question for Kirk. Can we do both at the same time, vote, or do we need to do them separately?
Or which items?
Well, I guess they are different, 8 and 9. They're 2 different resolutions. So you're right, Ms. Nagy, we need to do them separately, I guess.
Yes, I agree. Yes, yes,
okay.
I do.
All right, so do I have a motion about number 8, the resolution?
I'll make the motion.
Chairman, this is Stu.
Okay, I think I heard Chairman Passman make the motion and then second by Stu. correct?
That's good. Good.
All right. All right. Do we have any discussion? Questions again? I don't hear any. So without exception, number 8, the resolution to authorize the interim county administrator to execute the lease agreement between the county and the town of Hilton Head and historic Mitchellville will pass. All right. Now I'll jump ahead to number 9 if you want to talk about that one, Ms. Naggett.
Yes, thank you. So this is a resolution, again, between the county and the town of Hilton Head, but it is to create a new joint ownership agreement and operating agreement regarding the property of Ford Shell Ring. Originally, when this property was purchased, there was an intergovernmental agreement entered into between the county and the town that said it would eventually end up becoming a passive park and open to the public. And so this JOA just specifies those duties between the county and the town. The town council did hear this item and recommended approval to enter into the JOA. So they have actually already approved the town to enter into it. And so now we are bringing it forward here for the county to approve it, as well as to give you the documentation of the conceptual plan, which is noted as Exhibit C in that agreement. County Council did approve up to $250,000 to be allocated towards the planning and implementation of the conceptual plan for this property.
Anyone have any questions regarding this? The funds that were allocated came from rural and critical, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to approve this.
Okay, do I have a second?
So moved.
All right, Councilman Cunningham seconded. Any discussion or more questions? I hear none.
Madam Chairman, just quickly.
Councilman Glover.
Yes, kind of give me an idea where this preserve is. Where is it? I'm not. I see Exhibit C, but I just don't have any idea where that is on Hilton Head.
Yes, sir. If when you enter Hilton Head Island from the bridge, you make one of your first lefts onto Squire Pope Road. And when you're going down Squire Pope Road, you'll see one of our other rural and critical properties, Green Shell Ring, is on the left. And this property, Ford Shell Ring, is about a half a mile further down on the left.
Okay, it'd be way before you get to that circle?
Yes, sir, before the roundabout.
Okay, okay. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right. So unless there's, without exception, this will pass and we'll go forward to complete the whole council at the next meeting. All right.
This one, just for council information, this one may not be on April 12th. We've got to check. This is going to require a public hearing, so I'm not sure we've met the 15-day requirement, but we will verify that. And it may be on April 12th. I believe Sarah has already provided the advertisement for this item to the paper, but we will double check that. So it may go later in April instead of on the 12th.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next one is number 10, which is a contract award for purchase of timber. And this involves properties that are in the passive park program. And Ms. Stephanie Naggett will brief that one too.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a very new thing for the county. In June of last year, County Council approved a 4-year contract extension with Morrison Forestry in order to implement the forest management and activity plan. 2019, we had gone to bid to hire a certified forester as required by the state of South Carolina when doing silviculture activities in order to create this forest management plan. And I provided that to you all last year that indicated a number of different properties that were suitable for timber harvesting. Most of those properties would have what's called a selective thinning done on that property, which means the forest is too overgrown. It was originally probably planted or has naturally regenerated from a prior clear cut, and there's too much what's called basal area on the property of pine trees. So in order to make the habitat more suitable for wildlife and also aesthetically pleasing and just general create a healthy forests in our county, we do need to do some silviculture activities. There are a couple of stands that do need to be clear cut, but those are properties that are going to be, they're smaller stands. So it's not like 100 acres is going to be clear cut. It's going to be a small patch that's going to be clear cut because it's what's considered an off-site pine species. So when those off-site species are cut, they will be reforested with longleaf pine. So the earnings from the harvest will go back into reforesting with longleaf pine and doing some other management activities such as prescribed fire, as well as hopefully some invasive exotic species control and other land management items, as well as additional funds that could be used for longer term maintenance and management of just the passive parks in general. So one of my tasks when I was hired was to try to see if there was any kind of revenue generating potential on the rolling critical lands. And this is one that is a sustainable revenue generating potential. So we have identified through that forest management plan several properties. We went out to bid earlier this year on those properties. We received one timber harvest bid, one bidder, a logging company, to come and cut those properties. They selected 6 of, I think, the 8. They selected 6 of the 8 properties that they said they would be able to come and harvest. So that is provided in the letter from Morrison Forestry as to the properties and the amount of tonnage that we estimate could be harvested off the land. That figure is close to $300,000 in revenue. So in order for us to lock in that price with the mills, we need to be able to get under contract with the timber harvester. And then the mills basically, in essence, guarantee that price for each of the different timber products. And so there are different timber products depending on the size and the height of the pine trees that are on the property. Some of them are what would be considered pulp timber that go into creating things like toilet paper and other paper products, and then all the way up to pole timber, which are like our telephone poles and lighting poles that you see outside. So we do have a wide range of product on our properties. And so this contract award would be to S.A. Allen Timber for the purchase of those timbers as identified in the bid document, as well as the Morrison Forestry memo. The price, the revenue price though, although we do have an estimate, it really all depends on the tonnage that comes off the property. So it could be a little less, it could be a little more. But we do know that the price of each of those products would be the guaranteed price.
Excellent explanation. This has been a long time coming, and I'd like to commend you for getting it done. It's been one of the goals of the Passive Park program. I'll open it up for questions, please.
I will make the motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, Councilman Glover, second. Motion was made by Chairman Passament. Any other questions or discussion?
Madam Chairman, just want to make a comment. I thank Stephanie for bringing this forward. I think that it was long overdue. The only sad part about it is that timber prices are so going south a little. Other than that, we're doing the right thing and reforesting with longleaf pine. Although I may never see the red cockaded woodpecker in my lifetime here, maybe my great grandchildren may see the red cockaded woodpecker in Beaufort. Thank you.
And I agree. I having been around red cockaded woodpeckers and longleaf pine in my earlier days, I would love to see them here in Beaufort County too, and glad to see them that we're taking proactive choices. So maybe our grandchildren and others will enjoy the longleaf pine habitat. All right. Without exception, this will pass. This has to go to full council? Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I believe because of the revenue price.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. All right. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, before we
Yes.
go further, proceed from this goes back into the passive park budget, or does it go into council budget?
We are planning to put this back into the passive park
Okay, that's all.
budget to
Thank you.
use the money for maintenance and
Other things.
for other things
Yeah.
for the park.
Thank
But it's my so in other words, it's fenced, and so it can't be just in the general budget. So
That's correct.
Yeah. Good question. Thank you. Okay, then next items are boards and commissions, and we're going to take these individually if we can. One is reappointment of Art Baird to the Rural and Critical Lands Preservation Board. This will be his second term in District 1.
Move for approval.
Okay, we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Okay, without exception, that passes. Number 12 is reappointment of Walter Mack. He's in District 3 to Rural and Critical Lands. This will be his second term. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Councilman Glover made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Councilman Dawson, second. Without exception, he will be reappointed. Number 13 is a new appointment, first term appointment for James Bennett to Rural and Critical Lands Board. He lives in District 5, which is Brian Fuelling's district. Do I have a motion to appoint him?
Move for approval.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Dawson. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you, Councilman Glover. Without exception, he will go forward to full council. Number 14 is reappointment of Natalie Hefford to the Historic Preservation Review Board. This will be the fourth term for this person, and she represents Southern Beaufort County. Do I have a motion to reappoint her?
I'll make the motion, but I have a question.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second, Madam Chairman.
Okay. All right, discussion, Councilman Passman?
Yes, it says her first term was 2009, which would have ended in 2013. The second term is a 6-year term?
Oh, is maybe Miss Owens or Miss Vaughn can answer that question. I am not sure.
Her first term was a partial term. She was filling in for someone else.
Oh, okay.
Completing their term.
Okay.
But I think the other is just an error that was entered in.
Right. They should be 4-year terms, correct?
That's correct.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman Passman. We'll fix it before it goes to full council.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Brock, for that explanation. So we had a motion and a second. Is without exception, can we move this forward with the corrections made?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hearing none, this one will go forward. All right, number 15 is reappointment of Katrina Epps to the Historic Preservation Review Board. She is a representative of the Bluffton Historic Foundation. This will be the third term, expiring in 2025.
Right. I will again make the motion, but the same thing. It shows a first term for just 2 years and then 2 4-year terms. So
yes.
That was another partial. Yes, sir.
That was another partial. Okay.
Okay. We'll put a before it goes forward, I think we just put an explanation there so we'll understand that. Okay, so Councilman Passman made a motion. Did we have a second one on that one? That appointment of Katrina Epps?
I'll second for you.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Cunningham. All right. Without exception, this and with the explanation about the partial term, this one will move forward to full council. All right, number 16 is a new appointment. We have two people who can be considered for this. This is appointment of Gail Murray or Daniel Rydell. Gail Murray lives in District 1. Daniel Rydell does not live in District 4. He actually lives in District 2 to fill the Northern Beaufort County opening on the Zoning Board of Appeals. We have an opening and the person needs to live in Northern Beaufort County. Do we have a council member that would like to nominate either Gail Murray or Daniel Rydell?
And what position is this?
This is a position on the Zoning Board of Appeals. And the person just has to live in Northern Beaufort County. And Gail Murray lives in your district. Councilman Dawson, do you know, you familiar with her?
Yeah, I'm familiar with her, but I have her slated to go on another board.
Okay.
Yeah, so
right.
I wouldn't appoint her for this
okay.
board.
All right. So is Councilman Somerville on? I think he's left our meeting.
No, ma'am. He just literally left this building. So.
Okay. All right. Do we want to table this one until, or is someone willing to nominate Mr. Rydell?
Madam Chairman, go ahead.
Go ahead, Councilman Glover.
No. I really don't want to do anything. Okay.
All right. All right. Councilman Dawson, did you want to say something?
No.
We can table this one till next.
Yeah, let's wait on this one.
Okay, we will table this one. The representative for District 2 is not here, so we will table that one. All right. The next one is appointment of Gerard Hoffman to the Southern Beaufort County Corridor Beautification Board, District 5, first term. Do we have anyone to make a motion?
That's Brian's district, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
What would happen if I motion to move that forward because he's not here, and he decide that that's not who he wants? Is that could be problematic? I'll just wait then.
Okay.
I think that's best.
Okay, let's table that one too. All right.
Oh, Councilmember Howard,
just
note that all of these applicants that we have listed have gone through y'all's new boards and commissions process where the staff liaisons were contacted and then the council liaisons were contacted. And the only reason why they made them, onto the agenda is they were fully approved.
Oh.
Our process.
Okay. Well, do we want to go back to Gerard Hoffman? So you're saying it went through Councilman Flewelling.
So move.
Okay, a motion by Councilman Glover. Do I have a second?
Question, Alice.
Yes, sir.
Because they went through the liaison representative, does that necessarily mean that the council representative for that district approved them?
Oh, Ms. Brock, can you answer that question?
No, sir. The way that the new the liaison structure is set up is that each committee was responsible for appointing a council member to be liaison for a board or commission. It wasn't done by district.
Yeah, I misspoke. I misspoke myself. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my concern. In other words, you might have a applicant in your district that has been approved by the liaison, but it might not be your approval.
Yes, that could happen.
So being that this is in Brian's district, I would hold off on that.
Okay. So we had a motion, but no second?
No second. I'll withdraw.
Okay. All right. We're going to table this one. All right. All right. Any other business for the Natural Resource Committee?
Yes, those
sir.
items that you've asked to table have to have action taken by
To
a
table?
majority to table them. Then
Okay.
they're on the table, and then they'll have to be taken off the table
Oh, I'm
by
sorry.
a majority of people.
All right. Is there a better way to word that?
Well,
instead of table?
You can
Postpone.
postpone action.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. I would like to, do we need to make a motion to postpone 16 and 17?
So move, Madam Chair.
All right.
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion by Councilman Dawson. Thank you for correcting that, Chairman Passman. And
Yeah, now you have to add, when do you want to postpone this until?
I would suggest the motion state that we postpone until the next natural resource meeting, or we could do
That would be the appropriate motion.
All right. So Councilman Dawson made the motion.
Motion amended.
Okay. To state that we would postpone it till the next Natural Resource Committee meeting.
That's correct.
And the second.
I'll second it.
All right. All right. Any more discussion?
Stu has a question.
Yes. Councilman Rodman.
Yeah, on the appointments, and you were talking about the liaisons. I've never viewed that the liaisons had any role in the appointment of boards and commissions. They're just serving there as the liaison. They may not even be on the committee. It's whoever is the best person and whoever wants to do it. So I don't think that's part of the process in my mind.
Well, it didn't used to be, but we've added some more input from the liaisons, because they're the ones that usually attend the meetings of those boards and commissions and knows. But and to Councilman Dawson's point too, the representative of that district, we need their input too. So we're trying to get more input on the nominees besides the councilman that's in that district, because the liaisons are the ones attending the board and commission meetings, hopefully.
Yeah, but I don't see that there's any relationship to the appointments. And in fact, I don't believe that's ever come to council for any discussion that I remember. So to me, there's a bunch of people that get appointed, and we generally yield to the council member for that district, and the other ones are ones that are maybe span districts or have different geographic lines, but those come through committee. I just don't see any relationship to liaisons. It just muddies up the discussion. But if we're going to go that way, let's have a discussion at council.
Or we can have a discussion executive committee too when they meet again.
This was actually a part of y'all's retreat, and so I can forward some of the notes from it. But this was this came out of a conversation that y'all had at your retreat, and it was to be more involved with boards and commissions. And we created the structure for each committee and who was assigned to what board and commission, which was emailed out to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
If you could send that to all of us again, that would be helpful too. All right. So without exception, we have postponed 16 and 17 appointments. Did I do that right? Councilman Passament? Okay. All right. Any other business for the Natural Resource Committee?
I need to clarify one thing I said earlier. I told you all that item 9 would need a public hearing. It was item 8, and I'm not sure that will be on the 12th. It's for the lease. We have to do a public hearing. We will double check with Sarah to make sure that has received proper advertisement for 15 days prior to the public hearing, and then we'll bring that forward at the appropriate time. So that's item 8, not item 9.
Okay, but item 9 can go forward as far as you know. Okay, great. All right, if there's no other business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you.